know, growing up here in Lawrence County, I've had a front row seat to all the changes we've faced over the years. Industry has come and industry has gone. Natural disasters have blown through, but our people have come together every single time. Year after year, what rings true? It's always faith, family, and hard work. Over the past 4 years, our schools have flourished. We've invested in teacher raises every single year, which strengthened our schools, and we've committed over $12 million to safer and more modern facilities. Because the truth is, when we invest in our students, we invest in our future. And we've also taken on the work that just couldn't wait, delivering the largest road investment in our county's history. And I personally fought for our utility district's right to provide clean, reliable water all across this county. And so I promise, with your support, we'll protect our farms, we'll protect our values, and we'll keep building a stronger Lawrence County for every family and for every future. Vote David Morgan for County Executive. God bless.
Welcome to Local 43 TV. I'm Corey Rochelle, and I am joined by our County Executive, David Morgan, on this wonderful Thursday morning. And David, it's great to have you here today. And we are roughly 3 weeks away from election
Yeah,
day.
early voting starts tomorrow, so 17th, and it'll run, I think, through the 1st or something. Election day's on the 6th, on a Thursday this time.
On a Thursday,
yeah.
typical on Tuesday, but it's on Thursday.
Yeah.
Why the change, I wonder?
Who knows?
That's just a local decision, I'm assuming.
It'll be it's a state primary as well, so
okay. So it was determined by that then. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So you're in the home stretch.
Yeah, man.
When you walked in this morning, and I could still see a lot of go in your eyes, but I could also still see that maybe you're a little bit worn down a little bit.
Yeah, I've never ran for re-election, so this is a whole new thing for me. When I was running last time, I didn't have a record as far as in community service, in government anyway. And so, there was a lot of what ifs. And so, we're excited about the opportunity to do another 4 years. I think we have an incredible record. And I say we because it's not just me, it's the commission. Again, I don't have a vote on the commission. I am purely inspirational and informational for them, and bringing things to them that I see need to be addressed within the budget or whatever's going on in the county, community, public safety, various things like that. And they make the decision at the end of the day. But yeah, I think, goodness, I would just say the record, man, is in a lot of ways unprecedented in Lawrence County history. And that's got a little bit to do with me, but a lot to do with everybody that works together on our team across the board in Lawrence County. And that's from the citizens all the way up to those that have been elected in office. But yeah, I'm a little battle worn, a little weary here. I'm 47 now. It seems like 4 years ago I had a little more energy maybe. But also I had to come to this realization 4 years ago I wasn't doing this job during the day while I'm also trying to get reelected. So, you won't see me unless I take a day off. You won't see me out on the side of the road putting out signs and stuff, because I've got a job to do. And so, yeah, I love it though. I love doing the job. It's very, very much like ministry in a lot of ways, that it's a 24/7 responsibility. Like I was just telling one of my commissioners, we had a meeting before we came over here, and I was telling her, like, yeah, this morning, 6:30 was the first phone call, about county business. Yeah. So it's, and the last one last night, or the last message, I think, that I was answering from somebody was, around 10 o'clock. So, it's 24/7, but I love it, man. Yeah. It's been a great honor and a joy.
Well, I hope in your role as a pastor and in ministry, I hope that your congregation doesn't bombard you with such bashing and negativity that you've received on
I actually have to
social media.
I got to kind of rein some of them in, honestly, because they really want to be defensive of me and things like that. And so I tell them, no, listen, we're gonna take the high road on this stuff. We're gonna do as best we can to live as Christ. Yeah. He had every opportunity to bash those that were being negative toward him, but he didn't. He continued to serve. And so that's why, I tell them, I said, and I don't talk about this stuff from the pulpit very much at all. But I do say, you never know. You never know what somebody's going through. You never know what kind of situation they're in life. You never know why they are saying what they're saying or trying to attract the attention they're trying to attract. at my at cost to me. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
But again, I have to remember that we have all sinned and fall short of the glory of God, and none of us are beyond fault and failure. And oftentimes, Corey, I mean, a lot of times we just don't have all the information.
Yeah. And I wanted to go there, and I'm glad you said that because.
So I try to give people benefit of the doubt. That's what I'm saying.
Well, I understand that
because I'm human too,
and good on you for doing that.
Yeah.
But at the same time, listen, I know you will say this as well as I'm about to say it, but everybody has a right to their opinion. Listen, we live in America. You have number one. We have a First Amendment.
Come on, that's right.
To voice your opinion.
A lot of people have died for that right.
That's exactly right. So you have a right to your opinion. Where it bothers me, and where for me it crosses a line, is that number one, if you're going to get on social media and you're going to bring out the hammer to bash, first off, do your homework. Know where responsibility lies on the people that you're going to bash. Nothing for a lot of times I just laugh at it, and I think, these people that they just want to voice their opinion, and again, they have a right to voice their opinion. But when they want to blame you for something that's involved with the city, or blame Blake for something that's involved with the county, or blame you or Blake that the commissioners on both sides decide.
Actually vote on.
Where you don't have a vote on.
We don't have
it's things like that just make me think, what are you doing? At least do your homework. Know how this works before you want to start bashing.
Yeah. I could say, I've had a couple moments maybe in my social media history where I might have got fired up about something.
Yeah.
And jumped out there kind of early and made some kind of post and had to delete it.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? I mean, I don't know if you've ever done that, but like I learned earlier. So a lot of times you don't know what you're talking about, and it's okay. It's okay to not know, but the assumption is everybody makes the assumption that they're an expert on everything these days, and that's just not the case. And, but I mean, I kind of miss, I don't know what they're teaching in civics anymore, not bashing any teachers, but like whoever the civics teacher is, Lawrence County High School, let's have a local civics, like 9 weeks. Okay. Like where exactly how local government works, bring in some local government people to talk during that time, talk about where the lines of authority are and what's here, and what's not.
What your role is and your
responsibility. What my role is. That's right. So I teach that. We do a thing called Leadership Lawrence County through the Chamber of Commerce. And I actually talk about the differences in my job and the commissioners and all the things that happen. Yeah. I mean, it's been amusing at times and disappointing at times. At the same time, throughout a lot of the debate on some of these issues that are going on in Lawrence County right now, that the people leading the charge on some of these opposition issues, they don't even know what they're talking about when it comes to government roles and who votes and who does what. And like they don't even want to sit down and have a private conversation about it. I offered that to one particular individual that was making a big to-do about current situation, and their response to me, I never talked to this person, and I sent them a message and said, hey, I would love for you to come to my office, sit down with me, let's talk about what's going on. Right. And the response was, there's been too many backdoor meetings already. I'm not going to come and have a private conversation. I said, I just want to talk to you.
Yeah, I mean, I'm expecting when you get done with this time on as being county executive. I mean, I don't know what island you're moving to with all the money you've made, on the backdoor deals and all these things. I don't know where you're going to.
But, hey, still haven't seen those checks.
More power to you for doing that. So, but all that aside, and I want to bring it up because I'll be honest with you, it's pretty sick. A lot of it is really sick. It shows a lot of people what they really, what's really on the inside.
I'm embarrassed some days for our county.
I am too.
I literally, it's embarrassing.
And again, you whether you agree or disagree with what's going on, if you want to voice your opinion, voice it the right way. That's all I ask. Just do the right thing.
Be respectable.
That's right.
And I'll sit down and have a face-to-face meeting with anybody. And I'm kind of old school about that. Like just come to my office and talk to me. We'll sit down. And I'll offer you some coffee, some water, whatever. And we'll just have a conversation.
Right.
And I mean, people don't want to do that anymore. They don't have the guts to do those kind of things anymore.
Or
and,
I don't know. I think seriously, I think social media has taken the skill away from just sitting down like you and I are right now having a conversation.
You're right. You're right.
So and that's troubling to me. But all that aside, we are nearing down. I know you've been out working hard and whatnot, but we'll get back to the election on the back end. But what is going on with local government currently?
So we're in the process of passing our budget. Of course, as the CFO, I have two constitutional responsibilities as county executive. All right. Number one, I'm the CFO of the county, so I'm the one responsible for managing the money in this county, overseeing that it's managed well. Of course, I've got a great staff. Brandy Williams is my budget director. I think she's probably got one of the hardest jobs in the county. So a lot of things to account for and whatnot. She's got a great staff at her office. And at the end of the day, they're working, crunching numbers, but it's my responsibility to present a budget to the commission. It's their constitutional responsibility to pass a budget every year. And then it's up to me as the executive to execute the mission of the commission. So here's the budget. They say, here's how we're going to fund what. Now it's my job to make sure that happens.
Yeah.
And to come to them, on a regular basis, if we need to amend that budget, whether it be revenues to amend it with, which we love to do, or whether it be expenditures to amend it with. So we're in the process of getting that passed, coming up on the 28th, asking the full commission to pass the budget that the budget committee has already passed unanimously. And one of the big things we're doing in this budget is we put a lot of time and energy and effort into community or emergency services. Okay, first responders, all of that. So one of the big jumps we're making is we are taking our ambulance department from being on a 24-48 schedule, 24 hours on, 48 hours off. We're one of the only departments remaining in the state that do that. And so that makes it's harder for us to keep staff and various things like that. So we're going from a 24-48 to a 24-72 schedule. So we're going to show a larger hit to fund balance in the beginning of the year. But one good thing about the way we've managed it the last 4 years is every year, even though we pass what shows to be a negative hit to fund balance in the budget, the Comptroller's Office knows this and we know this, and we only spend about 91% of what we budget anyway. And so at the end of the year, we always see growth and we amend the budget throughout the year. And we've come out with a surplus every single year. We've gone from $9 million in the surplus when I came into office to 14.2, which is arguably, from what I've looked at, it's the largest ever growth in our rainy day fund. And so I'm petitioning the commission, let's use some of that money. Let's use some of those funds to do some capital projects with some of that. But then also we're tightening our budget in such a way to where we can do some recurring things like this, like this ambulance thing. And so I'm excited about that. If you've never talked to our ambulance folks, our EMTs and paramedics and things, these people are right there. They're ready to go when our families need them and when we need them. And you've been in that situation. My parents been in there. I've been there myself. Wrecked the motorcycle, laying on the side of the road, my arm crushed, and there they were. And I'm thankful for them. They see a lot of things. They go through a lot, and we need to be competitive. We need to be able to give them what they need. And I'll be proud to say we will be one of the most competitive counties in our region. So that's going to help us tighten up the ship too a little bit. Yeah. That helps us be able to do more administratively in that department, and our expectations be raised a little bit.
Well, we have in there where we all work, we have a scanner, so we can keep up with what's going on, so we can put information out on Local 43 about, with the wrecks, fires, all that kind of stuff. And unless you just sit and listen, and this is coming to work here, I didn't realize it is constant.
It's
always something going
all day long.
Calls going out all day long.
All day.
And it for all branches, and I'll include, whether it be a city police department, whether it be the sheriff's department, whether it's an ambulance, whether it's fire, it's constant.
And our firemen too. They do a lot of emergency medical responses, EMR calls, and man, I'm so proud of what we've been able to do for county fire. Like we've been able to increase their funding exponentially over the last few years. And so what that's done for them, it's got their volunteer numbers up. It's also created full-time jobs. They're part-time, but they're available during the heavy hours of the day from like 8 a.m. to 4. So we have firemen that are sitting in the Etheridge Station, Leoma Station. And now our response times for Lawrence County Fire to get to a call has gone from being sometimes 20 minutes or so down to like literally less than 5 minutes.
Yeah.
You know, they jump in the engine, boom, they're there. We've seen lives saved. We've seen, you know, because minutes, if you're bleeding out, you're a car wreck or something like that, and you've got a femoral, or your femoral artery or something, it's like people being there in 3 minutes as opposed to 15 minutes.
Yeah.
That's life and death.
Absolutely.
So we've seen a lot of things happen like that. We've seen property be saved because they're able to get there earlier and get the water on it. We've seen lives saved. So couldn't be more proud of all things public safety. Our sheriff's department also, when you know, they were seeing some attrition, they were seeing turnover, and we were able to give them a considerable raise too in the last 4 years. And so I really, man, if I win, lose, or draw on August 6th, I can hang my hat on the fact that we increased public safety here in my 4 years in a way that's never been increased before.
Yeah.
And I'm proud of that, and I want to continue to do things like that. And so, you know, it's up to the citizens, I guess, to give me 4 more years, and I would love to
Well, I'll say
have
this
that
too.
opportunity.
You,
Got primary care? Find your way to better health with primary care by One Stop Medical. With decades of combined experience, you'll find a one-on-one relationship just like the old days, but with the convenience and technology of today. When One Stop Medical does primary care, it's the best. Call today for an appointment and find your way to healthy living. Serving Lawrenceburg, Pulaski, and Hohenwald. Phone 931-244-8220. Primary care by One Stop Medical at its best.
is that you and the commission have been really good the last 4 years about being a great partner with the school system, because we've been able to do some things that, quite honestly, were way past due that needed to be done.
And that's again, I said earlier, this has been a record 4 years for Lawrence County, and I could just click the dial and go to education. Man, we have been able to do more in the last 4 years than we've been able to do ever in a 4 year term. And so, and again, doesn't have everything to do with me. I'll say that it's the commission has to be willing to do that, and the community has to be in a growth posture to do that. Like economically, we've grown even through the heightened inflation that we saw. Like Lawrence County has pushed through those things and made it happen. So I'm excited about what we've been able to do, but I'm also excited about what hopefully we're going to continue to do with the sale of the Southern Tennessee Higher Education Center and looking at building some facilities that need to be done in Summertown, Lawrence County High School, and I think some tennis courts maybe in Loretto. Some talk about that. So anyway, I love working with Michael Atkins. If you get to work with him, man, he's a great guy. Incredible story. His life story is incredible. Growing up here in Lawrenceburg and rising to where he is today. And he is an honest man and easy to work with, and it's been fun to help education. And I say this, like, education is one of those things in county government. We take care of basically the necessities in the community, right? We take care of public safety. And I love our jail, and Lieutenant Taylor does a great job at our jail and all that. But a jail exists because criminals exist. Right. Okay, it's not always a positive thing. We try to turn it into something positive with work release and substance abuse treatment, and try to get these people help that they need, and counselors and stuff there. But like at the end of the day, the jail exists because, and even the court system exists because criminals exist. Mm-hmm. But when we get to invest money in education, we get to invest money in teachers, we get to invest money in schools and students and facilities. Man, I really feel good about that, because we are getting to invest money in the future. Yeah. And that seed that we sow with $1 of property tax into education, only God knows. What's the old saying that we can count how many apples are in a seed, but only God knows how many orchards are in an apple, or something like that. I totally screwed that up, but anyway, the preacher in me messed that one up. But so in the school system, every dollar that we invest, the return on investment is something we can't even quantify.
That's right.
The difference it makes in a kid's life, even with the mental health. You know, we've been able to put mental health counselors throughout the county. Mm-hmm. That's a game changer for kids. You know?
And I sat down and did an interview back in May with 2 of our mental health instructors and a local mental health person that works at a private business here in town. And I would encourage everybody to go back and watch that, because the volume of kids today that struggle with mental health, again, You and I grew up, we were kids of the 80s and the 90s. It was, suck it up and move on,
And it was barefoot on your bicycle. I mean, it was a different world.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, we grew up at a different time. And that wasn't, not that people didn't have mental health issues. It was just those walls built around it didn't allow you to talk about it. Well, now the walls have been torn down.
Awareness is
there. And it's okay for people to say that they're struggling with this or they're struggling with that. And we have taken the steps to apply resources for kids in school to be able to do that.
Man, that's exciting. It's a game changer because here's the thing: if you can see a child is dealing with certain anxiety or depression or various things that they could be dealing with early on in their life, and you can help them find some healing in that situation, then they don't live with that trauma trying to cope with it themselves in the way that we as humans try to cope with things through, however that may be, through isolationism or acting out or getting in trouble with the law. I mean, we've got a lot of guys that come through the jail, end up in recovery programs, and if they would have had some help as a child, their story could have been a little different. I remember the saying now, I can count how many seeds are in an apple, but only God knows how many apples are in a seed. Okay, that's the quote. But so again, when we invest in that child, you take a child that's come from a rough home life or situation, whatever. And I learned this when I was on the board at Kids Place. The counseling that we provide for those children at Kids Place for the rest of their childhood for free, no charge to them. And if those kids will keep coming and seeing their counselor, the percentage of opportunity for them to be healed and whole and have a good life goes up way higher because they just got somebody that can help them navigate between the ears, how to make it, how to make it with their trauma. Because a lot of people are walking around life, man, with a lot of trauma.
Well, and from the kid's standpoint, and this will be the last thing we'll say about this and we'll move on, but from the kid's standpoint is that a lot of times, and this is a very unfortunate and sad situation, but they may go to school and they get help, but then they go right back to the place that the trauma comes from. Yeah. And that's the challenge.
And that it's helping us recognize some of that early, though, and we're seeing some intervention happen, even in the homes. We're seeing, children that may be in an abusive situation. We're seeing them get the help they need. So, anyway, great thing, great to be a part of that, and I love helping the schools and want to keep doing that. But again, all of this is dependent upon healthy growth in our county, and we've been able to do a lot more because we've been growing in a healthy way.
So let's talk about that. Where are we at as a county? I know, you and I talked about this. Have you been in here a few times? We've talked about how our county has grown, population's grown. It doesn't take much. If you go a little bit north, you're constantly seeing things being built and expansions and stuff. So let's talk about growth in the county.
So growth is, I said this, my dad told me this years ago, that change is inevitable, but progress is optional. And it's how you navigate that change that makes it truly progressive or regressive, And we see a lot of communities in Tennessee today that are growing too fast. And listen, man, I grew up on Fall River Road, riding in the back of my brother's trucks, headed to the Pennycuff Hole or headed to the Flippo Hole or headed to the Beechwood Hole, swimming in the summer.
Those are
no shoes on,
those are some names I hadn't thought of.
Shorts and no shirt, hanging out the side of the truck, catching air in my mouth, and stopping at little country stores and grabbing, a little snack or something on the way. Yeah. We still see a little bit of that in the outskirts of our county, and I love that. I don't want to see in my lifetime, I've seen a lot of change. Mm-hmm. So I'm when people say, man, we're changing too much. I understand. And think about when we're 80, Lord willing, we live to that old, we'll say, man, look how much change happened. Right. But I've never lived in an era and time ever that there wasn't change happening. Yeah. So I can look at it one of two ways. I can get back and sit back and be bitter about it, or I can try to steer change and work with change and understand and maintain who we are. So we've seen positive growth in Lawrence County. We haven't seen growth that's too big for us to handle, right? Murray County has seen a lot of that. We're kind of insulated because we're not an interstate town. If you go to any state anywhere at metropolitan areas where the interstates exit the metropolitan areas where the growth goes. Yeah. And so the counties that are kind of in between those or whatever can have a slower rate of growth, and we have had that. We've had a very healthy rate of growth. It's been exciting over the last 4 years. Hey man, again, I could click the dial. Now let's talk about industrial development. Like the largest ever industrial investment in Lawrence County history, $200 million. Magna International came and invested $200 million in Lawrence County.
Right.
That's amazing. They just hired their 200th employee. Their goal long-term is to have 1,000 employees here. That's what they want to see at this facility. Their average wage is higher than most every other plant in Lawrence County. And I know a ton of people. I got a friend, he worked at Nissan for years, and he's a big man up there at Nissan, but he drives that far to Smyrna. You know, I saw him and his family in a restaurant, and our boys played travel ball together. And he said, man, I got a management position at Magna. And he's kind of like, I think he's like maybe number 3 in line in the plant, right? Yeah. And this is a local Summertown boy, you know, that's been working hard in manufacturing his whole career. And here he is, early 40s. Boom, he can redeem 3 hours, maybe more a day of drive time. Yeah. And guess what he's doing with that? He's spending it with his family. Yeah. You know, he's spending spending time in Lawrenceburg. He's spending money in Lawrenceburg. We were eating Mexican together, you know, and I've never seen him at Mexican before, you know. So he was so excited to be able to get that job, and he was thankful that we were able to negotiate the deal with Magna to get him here. And again, Magna will come on to our tax rolls this year. And I think their valuation's around $200 million. Now, you know, that's our percentage of that. The taxes that'll be coming in off of that is considerable and very helpful, and helps us do some of the changes, even cover the cost of adding, you know, a 24/72 shift for ambulance because of that advancement. And guess what? That money doesn't have to come from residential property taxes. Yeah. And I know everybody got this residential increase, right? So let's just roll there. Can we do that? Yeah, absolutely. So I'm not scared to talk about it. But like, so I text Brady Hutton the next morning. I said, hey, thank you for increasing my net worth. You know, at the end of the day, if you own a house, you own property, your value went up. But that is because Tennessee, when I came in office, for the first 2 years, we were the most moved to state in America. And Nashville's the center. It's the heart of Tennessee. And so we're only an hour and a half out of Nashville. So, anyway, the most moved to state. So our price of our land was going up. People are coming here. You know, their dollar could be spent. You know, you move from the West Coast 3 to 1. Your dollar's worth 3 times here what it's worth out there. Right. And so they could come here, and the price of land, and where we got hit the hardest was like from 2 acre to 15 to 20 acre chunks of ground with a house on them. That's what people are looking for. They want a little homestead, want to have maybe a cow or two, chicken or whatever. And anyways, that's kind of the dream. And Tennessee's so beautiful, man. Who wouldn't want to move here? Right. So this past year, we're the number 4 most moved to state in America. So it's kind of going to slower down a little bit. We saw our property values go up. But I'm excited to say the commission, the budget I presented to the commission and the budget committee presented to the commission lowers our tax rate by 26%. So I know nobody is going to look at it like we lowered taxes, but we did. It's called equalization. It's a state law that we have to do that. And so it went from 2.01. So for every $100 of value, you pay $2.01 currently is the rate. On the 28th, when the commission passes the new budget, and I hope they do pass the new budget, the rate will go to, on every $100 of value, it'll be $1.48 as opposed to $2.01. So we dropped it 26%. And for a lot of people that maybe have a depreciating home, an older home, I've yet to do the math on someone who is actually paying more in property taxes this next year than they did last year.
All right. So stop right there. Let's say that really clear so that everybody understands that. With the proposed change in the county tax rate, property tax rate, with increases of the new assessments, right? You just said that from what you have found, people are going to pay less. You haven't run across one where anybody's paying more? Not yet. And
but part of that is the ones I've done the math on are older homes, you know, my parents' home, my home, a couple other people's homes that I know. Now, if you say you bought a 3-bedroom, 2-bath house that's a couple years old, okay, or 5 years old, there's a real clear value on that because it's just sold recently. Right. Yeah. Now, my house sold in 2016 when I bought it, right? And my parents bought their house in 1979, right? So So again, those kind of situations, it's a longer term. There's depreciation that happens. But what happens is, and this is the state law, okay, it's called equalization. We cannot pass a tax rate to where we make more money off of residential property taxes than we did the year before. It's illegal to do that. The comptroller's office won't let us do that.
Okay.
So they come back with a recommended tax rate to keep that from happening so that it's equal. And that's what we passed, was that recommended rate, 1.48.
So there'll be, it's not that yours may go up and mine may go down. It's that as a whole, you can't
as a whole in the county,
you can't bring in more revenue from that.
Right. And the ones that will pay a little bit more are the ones that were in more demand, right? Because their sales history on those 2 acre, 5 acre, 10 acre with a house on it, that's 5 or 10 years old. Those are the target. Young families are wanting to buy those. And a lot of young families can't even afford to buy those in our current market, right? So, but anyway, so overall, yes, yours may go up, right? But we've done everything we can as a county to lower the percentage you're going to pay. And if you do the math, it's really simple. I base it on a $400,000 valuation. Okay. Let's say your house is worth $400,000 on the appraisal. All right. You take 25% of that. $100,000 is all that you're taxed on. You're not taxed on 400, you're taxed on 100,000. And again, these are all state laws. This is something we just have to enact and carry out. So the 400,000, you're taxed on that. So, at the 2.01 rate, you would be paying $2,010 in property taxes. I think if I'm doing my math right. At the new rate, you're going to pay $1,480. All right. That's if your home value is $400,000. All right. So, but a house that's valued at $400,000 right now on your appraisal was probably closer to $300 or $275 4 years ago.
Right.
All right. So you do the math, do the 2.01 on the 275, and then do the 1.48 on the 400, whatever your new value is, and see what the difference in those two numbers are. And they're relatively be close, $50, $60 off, maybe $150 off for the entire year. So, and again, property taxes, and I've been talking with Paige Wall and some other guys. I'm all about some property tax reform. As a matter of fact, Monty Fritz and I have had a long conversation about it. He's got some great ideas about property tax reform. There's a lot of ideas out there. I think it's terrible that anybody would ever lose their home because they can't pay their property tax.
Hey, this is Phil Hooper. Get the look you want for your favorite school, church, or business with apparel from HD Ink Screen Printing in Leoma, Tennessee. Got a logo you need embroidered or screen printed? Let HD Ink give you the professional look that sets the bar in today's world. We do fundraisers and custom designed apparel and so much more. Call today, 931-201-2961, or come see us at our new shop located at 26 Ingram Road in Leoma. Remember, HD Ink for the look you want and the look you deserve.
And it's one thing to say you can't pay it. It's another thing to say you won't pay it, right? And I think those should be understood on an individual basis. And I think that's something we need to look at changing the state of Tennessee. And I'm petitioning the state representatives to do something about it. And I think when somebody hits 65 years old, whatever the value of their home is at 65, when they get put on Social Security or fixed income, retire, like whatever the value of their home is at 65, I think it'd be wise to look at those situations and see if there's something we can do about maybe capping or doing. There's a lot of ideas out there. You hear a lot of stuff coming out of the state of Florida too. They're doing some conservative stuff. It'd be nice to have beaches all the way around our whole state though, and get tourism dollars to fund roads and schools and public safety. But anyway,
the problem with that though comes a little bit of weather.
That's true. That's true. Hurricanes, and you pay a lot more insurance down there.
That's exactly right.
We got some tourism in Lawrence County, but the Amish only bring in so many people.
Right. That's right. All right. So growth and taxes and stuff. So let's talk about, and we touched on this one time when you were in here, but land and land rights.
Oh yeah.
It's kind of coming back up. I've seen, and by no means am I extended, I reached out to your opponent to come in and have a sit down with us, and but I haven't heard back from him on that. And but I did see where he had posted a proposal about land and maybe some, I don't know what the right word was. It's restriction, zoning. It all falls under the same category for most people. So we still live in rural Lawrence County.
That's right.
A lot of people we just talked about growth, people moving here. And I try to look at it from a common sense perspective of striking a balance between me being able to do what I want to do on my land, whether I want to farm it, whether I want to, grow crops, have a big garden, whether I want to have animals, whether I want goats and cattle and all that. And but then at the same time, I want to, if a neighbor beside me wants to come in and do whatever he wants to do with his property, whether I like it or not, my rights, just because I like what I do, he's going to like what he does. So my point of saying that is that a common sense balance of us have the freedoms to do what we want to do on our own land, but yet have a little bit of, what would be the right word, where people just don't outright come in and destroy things. I guess is a simple way to put it. So tell me the thoughts and the talk about what's going on from your part in the county government, what you hear people talk about.
All right, big topic, a lot to say. I'm going to try not to say bore everybody, but when I came into office, I started a committee called Property Development and Codes Committee. I about got crucified, okay? And the purpose of that committee when I was campaigning was to hear, I had people saying, hey, I bought a house on so-and-so road, and the road has never been paved, and nobody maintains it. I'm like, well, why? And I asked T.R. Williams, and he's like, well, that's not a county road. It was never adopted as a county road. I said, well, why wasn't it adopted? He says, well, we're not going to adopt it because the builder, the contractor that built the 20 houses down this little road he cut through a field, never built the road to the county specifications. I said, well, why not? And he says, because there's no permit necessary. There's no way to enforce the county specifications. And so Mr. Crick has a list of the specs that he wants a road built to for us to adopt it. But all he can do is go hand it to the guy and say, hey, Mr. Contractor, sir, would you please spend 4 times the time and money building this road right? Proper ditches, culverts, slope on the road, depth of substrate, all the things. We didn't have any kind of rules on the books for that. And so you had a ton of people, or the bus wouldn't even go down the road anymore because they'd have a pothole the size of this table. Yeah. And so that was an issue, and that's why I started that committee, was to address issues like that. And the reason why you start a committee for those kind of issues is that a committee is advertised. It has to be by law. We have to put it out there. Hey, this committee is going to meet so-and-so day next week. The agenda is published. The public is welcome to come and speak. It's recorded, and now it's video recorded, and now we post all of that stuff since I've been in office and talk about transparency. I mean, we've invested in Civics Plus, and we're posting everything where people don't even have to, they can go online and find access to minutes and various things like that, where we didn't have that before I came into office. And so some of that's come, my detractors have come and attacked me through some of that stuff, but hey, it is what it is. I want to be transparent. If you disagree with me, so be it. Yeah. So I started that committee. Well, some people were kind of irate. They thought I was pushing for zoning and codes across the county. I never used the Z word. That's a dirty word, in government. But people were attacking me with that. But I had a big town hall, had about 200 people show up, answer questions for 2 or 3 hours. I think we all left way more in agreement than we did when we came in. And I'm going to tell you something. When it comes to personal property rights, that is one of the things that makes America, America. Mm-hmm. And it is something we better fight for, and we better defend it. Because what's the old communist saying? The symbol of the hand grabbing the wheat, the communist symbol, it essentially comes from the idea out of chaos, order, Mm-hmm. And so, like, anytime there's fear mongering going on, anytime there's a situation going on where people are in an uproar, the goal is the goal, I think, is a good goal from a lot of those people. Their heart is in the right. Like, they want to protect the environment, they want to protect the community as a whole, and I respect that. I don't want any industry coming here that's going to damage our environment. I don't care if it's a data center or a donut factory, even though I love donuts, but if it's going to damage our water, heck no, we don't need it here, you know? And so if it's going to damage our air, I mean, I don't want it. We don't have to beg for industry. Like, they want to be here, you know? So anyway, so that's where I stand on that, whether people want to believe me or whatever, that's their prerogative. Yeah. But again, anytime there's a situation, the collective tries to say, well, we want you to give up some of your liberty so there can be community order. Mm-hmm. You got to be careful with that. I think that's been a battle throughout American history. It's a battle. It's what you see. And you see a lot of people moving here from states that have a lot of laws and regulations, and they're sick and tired of it. And they move here. But the sad thing is, a lot of them have fled that because they don't like it. but then at the same time, they're used to the community controls that those things put in place, where they're not necessarily rubbing elbows or disagreeing, because there are community controls. So you see, they expect the community controls, but they want the liberty. So there is a balance, like you're saying, and I will always err on the side of personal property rights. That's where I stand on that. Now, there is what you mentioned. So I've been in discussions with our county attorney since I heard about data centers, and like, okay, look, we are a vulnerable population. We don't have any kind of laws in the county, unincorporated part of the county, to protect us. If some $1 trillion company came in here, offered a farmer, $40,000 an acre for 1,000 acres and builds like, we don't have any way to stop that.
Yeah.
All right. So everybody's scrambling and looking. I mean, I was listening to the news this morning. I was getting ready to come to work. There was a big segment on data centers. There was a segment last night on data centers on the news. And so everybody's talking about it. And I was in DC a few weeks ago and even talked to Senator Haggerty and his staff about how do we protect, like, what is true, what is not, how do we protect our people? We don't want, Lawrence County has more water than any county in the state. I think I talked to you about that last time I was here. And we're blessed with how much water we have. And the last thing I want to do is see that damaged. Yeah. I mean, I just finished a master's degree last July in leadership and public service. And I wrote my whole year's study on rural utility districts and how to preserve them and make them better and strengthen them in the state of Tennessee. And so last thing I want is for our water or our natural resources to be damaged. Right. So what do you do? What do you do in this situation? So something I've been talking to Ryan Durham about, and others on the commission are talking about, and my opponent as well. What can we do? There's some counties that have passed temporary moratoriums on a study moratorium. You got to say temporary. If it's permanent, guaranteed lawsuit, right? Because you can't discriminate against industry either. Mm-hmm. Industry that the federal government and the state government deems responsible, right? You can't just say, hey, we don't want you here. Anyway, and in this current situation, like we didn't sell them land in the industrial park. They didn't ask for a tax.
Private land.
They bought private land from a private individual inside the city limits of Lawrenceburg. It has nothing to do with county government. Yeah. They didn't ask for a tax deal. We would have been involved in that. And the county commission could have said no. Yeah. No tax deal. If they'd have wanted land in the industrial park, county commission could have said no, we don't want to sell. So we have those controls. But out in the unincorporated parts of the county, there are no controls. Mm-hmm. So what do we do? So there's talk about a moratorium, a 12-month study moratorium, temporary. But again, you got to be very careful with those things because lawsuits are pending and waiting to happen. We've got the best fund balance we've ever had. And dadgum, last thing I want to do is make some kind of political posturing stance right now from county government that is purely political and has no teeth, which is what this is going to end up being because Ryan Durham, our county attorney, is not going to allow us to put ourselves in jeopardy. But if it was to the extent of some other counties that have put some stuff in place and got sued and got beat in court, then you have to pay all that money out. You're looking at millions of dollars in legal defense. And for what? For making a decision in haste. Mm-hmm. So again, what was recommended, you will see coming up in the July 28th session is the recommendation will come to the commission to put together a study committee. Again, the appointments by the chairman of the commission, appointments by the county executive to be on a study committee for a year to study this stuff out, industrial development in general. Again, that goes back to the committee I started 4 years ago that my opponent actually deleted. When he became the chairman of the commission, he deleted that committee because there was a little bit of uproar about it. Yeah. But again, I'm not afraid to have those conversations. I filled the room up with people, and I think we all left pretty much being able to agree to disagree and understand things. So now the committee's coming back. That'll be what happens from this resolution if it passes on the 28th to study industrial development, the hazards here and there. And I'm all for that. Look, I'm all for pumping the brakes a little bit and saying, hey, look, we need to understand more about this stuff. We need to make sure we don't jeopardize the future of Lawrence County and that we don't get taken advantage of. But again, Corey, who am I to tell somebody that family's been farming land for generations that maybe even settled this land back in the day? Who am I to tell their great-great-great-great-grandkids that they can't sell their land to whomever for whatever they want to sell it for?
You got no power over that.
I mean, that's America. So
that's exactly right.
And the thing is, there are plenty of places in the world where you don't have that privilege. Mm-hmm. But this is one place where you have that privilege still. And even in America, you don't have that privilege in a lot of places. So I'm going to build a new barn, hopefully at my farm one day, but I'm not going to call all my neighbors and ask for their opinion on how I'm going to build my barn.
I'm building one right now at my house.
Well, there you
And
go.
I didn't
Did you
a
call a
single
community?
person. I didn't call anybody.
So
I didn't let you know, hey, David, is it okay?
Yeah, right. So I think you got to think about that. But also, I understand the fears, and I understand the worry and the concern, and I'm listening and I'm learning. But again, data centers are something new to all of us, and nobody's an expert in this community on them. And I don't know that we have many experts, that we can even access. So I hope to bring in some. If I can get back into office, I want to bring people in from TVA and various other places.
Hey folks, you'll never guess where I'm at today. That's right, I'm at my Quick Mart store. Starting off with a fresh cup of coffee, and guess what's next? The biscuit. That was quick and easy, and I'm ready to start my day. Head on over to your favorite Quick Mart store and start your day out right.
Talk to us about, the facts on this stuff.
There's
a lot of stuff that's not true that's being spread, and there's a lot of propaganda out there. Because this is the modern day Cold War. Senator Hagerty said this. This is the 21st century Cold War, AI technology. Everybody has nuclear weapons. All the world powers have nuclear weapons. Okay, that was our Cold War last century. This century, it's about artificial intelligence, information, how to handle things, how to send out swarms of drones and have them coordinated. And you know what I'm saying? It's like, who's got the computing power to manage the future?
Or swarms of misinformation.
There you go. That's exactly what's happening.
To make people believe this is what it's going to be like when it's really not.
So propaganda has been used forever. We see if you study history, you see it Revolutionary War, you see it in every war, propaganda. You see, was it Hans Goebbels? I think in World War II was the German propagandist, and he really worked and worked with.
The tools have just gotten better and more accessible.
Yes, and more invasive because it's right here.
That's right.
Me and you could start talking about catfish dinners.
And when we leave.
And when I open my social media, it'll show me the best catfish dinner around here. They're listening.
That's exactly
so there's somewhere that all that data has to be stored and all that's going on. But again, I want America to win any kind of war that's going on behind the scenes, because I don't want to be answering to communism. I don't want to be answering to some other nation. I want it to be America.
And I try to just look at a lot of things from a common sense standpoint and just through the lens of let's just do the right thing. And I've asked a lot of people this question. Data centers to me is just the storing of the information, right or wrong. I mean, it's a big area I don't care if it's Google, Amazon, GPT, Meta. That's what all that is.
You got to have a place to store it all. You've got to have a place to process. So
that's right.
So there's difference. There's AI.
There's different types.
There's AI data centers. There's storage data centers.
Okay, and I get all that, but it's all about tech is my point.
There's Bitcoin mining. That's a lot of what's going on. I've been reading a lot of stuff on it. There's just a lot.
But my point is
more than I can understand. Honestly.
My point is that when you don't hear the term much anymore, the phrase much anymore, but you always hear what's in the cloud. I mean, I work here at Tennessee Valley. We work here at Tennessee Valley Media, and we have Tennessee Valley Weather, and we talk about clouds a lot. And I hear clouds talked about a lot, but it's not clouds where your data is stored.
Unfortunately, no. It'd be better if it was up there somewhere.
Yeah, so it's somewhere.
It's brick and mortar somewhere.
That's right. And the thing that genuinely bothers me that I think people just don't grasp, if you find somebody that's not walking around with one of these, never had one of these, don't have his data out there everywhere, doesn't order Amazon 27 times a week like my family does, we don't stream everything we watch on TV, all these different things that we now have, that guy's got a reason to gripe.
He's the only one that's not contributing to
That's exactly right.
Yeah, that's right.
Every one of us is contributing.
That's right.
There's not a one of us that's
I still got I can scroll back through my Facebook and I've got my original posts. Like when I first got a Facebook page. And that's stored somewhere. It's not stored in my little phone.
Right. So that is a part
Yeah.
that I struggle with on the complete. Hey, and maybe it's the people that are upset about it. maybe they want the data, maybe they're fine with it, they just don't want it in their backyard.
Hey,
and that may be the argument.
And that may be, and just let it go somewhere else. And that's the argument. Like, if we can resist for a little while, maybe those things will look for other places to be. And look, it is what it is. But again, if Corey Rochelle's family was offered a good deal on some land, it is one of the fundamental rights as an American to be able to sell your property for what you want to sell it for.
Wouldn't hurt my feelings if one of those people found me.
Well, I mean, it
I'm
is
just kidding, but.
so and again, there's a lot of rumors out there about other things. So right now, there are no confirmations that I'm aware of anything coming here other than the one that's coming on Flatwoods Road. It's going to be anywhere from 50 to 60,000 square feet. It's going to use 30 to 60 gallons of water a day, which is probably less than what I use at my house with 3 or 4 loads of laundry going, 6 showers a day, you know. How many times they flush the toilet, I don't know, 100, at my house. So it'll have a chiller system on it, like our courthouse does, like our jail does, like our high school does, and the hospital has a big chiller system. It pumps cooled water through the building to cool the building. And so it'll have the same similar setup as that. I think we've dodged a bullet a little bit here in some ways, and I know people, as soon as I say that, they're like, "No, you don't know what you're talking about." I mean, there's a lot of what ifs about this one, but there's also a lot of what is about this one, and we know the specs, and those are things that are not going to put us in jeopardy. And the state of Tennessee actually passed a law this year that any data center that comes to a community, the build-out cost for that, the infrastructure build-out cost, they have to cover that entire cost. Where in the past, a utility system could make them a deal. Say, hey, we'll waive your tap fees or whatever. And then they could kind of dissipate that cost across the board. But that's not legal anymore in the state of Tennessee to do that. So I like that. TVA is also looking to do some similar. I saw some news reports this week, about that as well, to make sure that the for-profit company that was coming, that's going to make money on data mining and things of that nature, what they do in those facilities, that they pay for themselves, and that doesn't fall on the residential taxpayer, the residential customer for utility systems. And listen, I serve on the Association of Tennessee Valley Governments Board. I'm the youngest county mayor on that board. We're a board made up of 5 different states. We are a government liaison board for TVA. I have 4 meetings a year that I go to, and we get to talk about and ask questions to the uppity ups in TVA and really express the concerns from our community. And we've been able to talk through a lot of things with them and try to understand this stuff more. And so I'm doing all I can to learn. But look, when it comes to computers and stuff like that, Corey, I mean, we were right there on that between Generation X is who, right. Me and you. That's right. And, we play some Oregon Trail, on Mac. We did a little bit of, I did a little bit of prompt coding in electronics class. I did a little bit of, green screen stuff. But
you and I still had to take
typing. That's right. Yeah. And that's exactly right. And so it was still called typing, or I think they changed it to keyboarding my senior year, but anyway, whatever.
It was typing.
Yeah. You're so old. It's like,
yep. Exactly.
But anyway, there's a lot to learn about it, a lot that I don't know. I'm not the most computer savvy guy, Yeah. But here's the deal again. I believe in the leadership we have in this community. I believe we've got people that are in office and in positions for the right reasons. I'm just not gonna. I told one lady in a group discussion, a lady that just kept interrupting everybody all night. It was in a little overflow town hall discussion we had at the theater or at the courthouse about all this stuff, this data center stuff. And this lady just was being unreasonable all night. And I finally said, "Ma'am, we're just going to have to agree to disagree." I said, "But I'm going to ask you respectfully to quit butting into everybody else when they're trying to talk." And I said, and one of the things I just want to caution people, I said, we've just got to be careful not to think that we are the only person in the community that's noble. Yeah. We just can't think that everybody else is up to no good except for us.
Right.
That we're the only ones that's got a corner on integrity, because that's not true. I think the majority of people are trying to do what's right. Do they always get it right? No. Do they make mistakes? Yes, we all fall short, right? The Bible says that. We all fall short of the glory of God. But hey, let's give one another the benefit of the doubt. Let's work together, and let's not just throw spears at one another. And it's unbelievable.
It's terrible.
And it's it's a decline of civility and the way America has always been, the open ideals to be discussed without the vitriol and the hatred and all the things that come with it.
Well, it's really sad that you just can't have a conversation anymore, and you can't disagree on a topic, but yet still work together. That's a sad.
You can. I think more. There's more people that.
Well, obviously you can.
There's more of us that are doing that than aren't.
But it's sad that there's a large portion out there that if we don't get what we want, then we're not going to work with you. That's what I'm getting at.
Yeah.
That to me.
It's a bully mentality. I mean, at the end of the day, and but it is what it is. But yeah.
All right. So as we're winding down here, once you're reelected, if reelected, come August, what you hoping to accomplish in the next 4 years?
Man, it's my hope and prayer that I can be in here again. You know, Lord, I say, Lord willing, and the dead don't rise, I'll be back in here. Because if the dead rise, I'm out of here.
I'm gone.
You know what I'm saying?
I'm with you.
I'm gone. And I just hope that I'm playing basketball against my brother-in-law Cedric when that happens, because I'm going to dunk on him on the way out. You know what I mean? But anyway, no, Corey, I want to build upon what we've been able to do over the last 4 years. We've had the most incredible 4 years this county's ever seen in so many ways. And I think it's hard to find a metric where we can't say it's been better. It's been better this 4 years than before. When it comes to roads and schools and public safety and all the things that we're responsible for in county government. And I want to keep that going. And I think when you have a team that's working well together, and you have a county executive that drank through a fire hose for the first year and a half, 2 years, I've gone to get more formal education to help me do this job better. I've built relationships now. I've got relationship capital, which is the currency of government, okay, and business in general. Even in life in general, relationship capital is the currency of success. Yeah. And so I've built those relationships. I've maintained those relationships. I've built rapport. I've been put on different boards and committees and things throughout the state and even nationally, where they're listening to little small town USA guy, and they care about what we need in Lawrence County. And so I would say for the voters out there, I know there's a lot of things to be concerned about, and I know there's a lot of fear of what is to come in the future. But I think at the end of the day, like FDR said, if I get the quote right, the only thing we have to fear is fear itself. And I'm a scriptural man. I'm a biblical guy. And the Bible says that God has not given us a spirit of fear, but a power, love, and a sound mind. And I'm going to lead with those things in mind. I'm going to lead with humility. I'm going to lead with, asking God for wisdom and guidance. And I'll never apologize for that. And we're going to build upon the successes we've had. And here's the deal. I think the best is yet to come for Lawrence County.
I agree.
And I want to maintain who we are, our identity. I want to maintain that agrarian culture we have. Heck, I'm a first-generation farmer. I say, hey, look, farming didn't choose me. I wasn't born into it, didn't inherit land to have to pay land taxes on and manage. Yeah. Like, I've been crazy enough to buy it myself, and, right. Well, Farm Credit still owns a lot of it, but I'm trying to get it paid down, But, like, I want to have that life for my family and my children and my grandchildren. And so I'm going to fight with everything in me to protect those things. Yeah. It's not, I don't want to ever become a Spring Hill or even a Columbia for that matter. Yeah. Don't Murray County, my Lawrence County is a slogan I've been saying a lot lately. And I think we just have to be on guard and be vigilant. So, man, I would love the opportunity to serve you again, Lawrence County, and you're one of them. I'd love to have your vote and support, my friend, and your family. And man, I just really believe we can do even more. And TR told me that. He said, first term, you can only do so much. You're building relationships on it. The second term, man, it's like you can really get even more done. And I think, man, we've got a lot done in 4 years. So sometimes I can't even imagine how much more. But with the schools, we're going to look at facility growth. We're going to build these facilities that need to be built. And Corey, there's a chance we can cash flow all that and not even have to borrow a dime. And that's what I'm shooting for now. Yeah. We'll see how all the puzzle plays out. But that would be amazing, right? When was the last time we ever built county buildings on our schools without borrowing money?
Right.
I mean, I don't know. We have to do a lot of research to find that time.
It's probably never happened.
Okay, and there's a very good chance we can do that. Yeah. And so, man, I'm excited. And look, I respect my opponent. I do. He's been a commissioner 3 terms. It's not easy being involved in government. It's not easy putting yourself out there and even running for office now. He and I don't always see eye to eye on policy issues. Oftentimes we don't. But one thing I'll say for his sake is I respect him, and I feel what it feels like taking the shots. And I'm sure he's taken a few too. Maybe not as many publicly that I am right now, but I am the county executive, so I can expect that.
Right.
But you know, I want to wish him the best and his family, and let the citizens decide. We're both interviewing for a job.
That's right. That's right.
And
So-
wish him the best.
As we wind down here, and I know David will agree with me, and I said this yesterday when I had Chris on board, a lot of opinions have been voiced online. They don't really mean a whole lot. And so I would encourage everybody to go vote.
Early voting starts tomorrow.
That's right.
Mar Avenue.
So get out starting tomorrow. And if not, if you don't early vote, make sure you vote on election day, because my opinion is if you don't take the time to go vote, you don't have a lot to argue about.
That's true, man. That's true. And look, people fought and died for that privilege.
That's right.
Let's take advantage of that.
That's right.
Yeah.
So, David, thank you for
Thank
coming
you.
in. Good
Appreciate
luck
it.
to you.
All right, man.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Don't wear yourself down, and
Try not. You'll see us on the street corner here in the next few days, I'm sure. So just ask everybody to be cordial to my wife
tell her to put a helmet on.
and my kids. Yeah. Try not to give her the one finger salute anymore, young
That's
men.
right. That's exactly right. That's terrible.
Oh, man.
But thanks for being here.
Thank you.
And thank you for joining us. And stay tuned for more interviews on Local 43. Have a good day.
Take care. Thanks, buddy.